This is Terrence R.J. Banks with Information Age Financial Solutions, coming to you talking again about pensions. And I've done so many different videos about pensions in the past, but I can't stress enough because of its importance and how it's going to affect most of the population now, that a huge part of the population across the world. But today I came across another edge. I love Zero Hedge. They do great articles. This one struck my attention, is worth me going over a video for because of just the title alone. 1 million Ohio public employers face pension cuts as another Ponzi scheme teeters on the brink. And Zero Hedge, if you're not familiar with it, does the greatest in terms of growing real news and giving you real good articles. I'm going to go kind of read over a little bit of excerpts here and then why it struck out to me. And as they have been talking about, and you can find out their work, they've also talked about the pension prices. We've written frequently of late about the pension crisis in Kentucky, where pensioners are facing potentially catastrophic benefits cuts as their politicians finally admit they have been sold a fantasy for decades. And they gave an excerpt here where you can find out more. Pension cuts consultant offers dire outlook for Kentucky, freeze pensions / benefits or else. Definitely one to pick up. But I'm going to talk about today for Ohio because the sheer magnitude of how many people are going to be affected by that. Unfortunately, Kentucky is not unique, as there is a never-ending stream of similar pension failures popping up daily around the country. The latest such example comes to us from Ohio, as the Dayton Daily News notes that the Ohio Public Employees Retirement System, OPERS, has been forced to consider COLA cuts for its 1 million pensioners in order to keep the fund solvent. Ohio, and that's why I'm glad he put this in bold, Ohio Public Employees Retirement System, OPERS, has been forced to consider COLA cuts for its 1 million pensioners in order to keep the fund solvent. Ohio's biggest public pension system is considering cutting the cost of living allowance for its 1 million members as a way to shore up the long-term finances of the fund. That should be enough to stand out, and why I picked it up, and then definitely for one, I encourage you to look at Zero Hedge and pick up this article and read it. Ohio Public Employees Retirement System trustees on Wednesday discussed options that could affect all current and future retirees, including tying the cost of living allowance to inflation and capping it and delaying the onset of the COLA for new retirees. No decision has been made, and trustees will discuss the option again in October. So far, some 72,000 members responded to an OPERS survey about possible changes. OPERS spokesman Todd Hutchinson said 70% of retirees responding to the survey report that they prefer that the COLA be capped rather than frozen. I bet they do it. So how bad is OPERS? Per the last evaluation, Ohio takes payers on the hook for roughly $20 billion underfunding. Ironically, the fund ended 2016 with the highest underfunding in its history, after being nearly funded in 2007. Despite a 275% surge in the S&P off the lows in 2009, perhaps someone can explain to us how these pensions can stand a chance of ever again being fully funded if they can't even manage to improve their balance sheet during one of the biggest equity bubbles in history. Now, they were mentioning how the Dow has jumped up from 275% of the lows in 2009, and if they can't stay solvent then, with the Dow being at its highest has ever been in history, then how are they going to stand a test to be able to pay it if something definitely happens, which we're overdue. Be that as it may, like all pensions, the OPERS funding is only as good as the garbage assumptions used to calculate it. As the following table shows, a mere 1% reduction in OPERS discount rate will result in a $12 billion increase in the fund's net liability. Ironically, even OPERS' own financial report pegs its weighted average long-term expected real return at just 5.66%. But we know that it's not giving 5.66%. But look at this. You can see these charts here. They've done extremely well into this video, just highlighting that. Not surprisingly, OPERS is just one of the many Ohio public pensions currently facing cuts. OPERS is the latest of the I can't even read today. OPERS is the latest of the 5 public pension systems in Ohio to consider benefit cuts. The state treasury's retirement system, Ohio, in April voted to indefinitely suspend the COLA for retired teachers. Trustees said that they weren't certain that the cut would be enough to shore up the finances of the $72 billion fund. Ohio Police and Fire Pension Fund is expected to hire a consultant to help restructure its health care benefits. You can read the rest of the article. I kind of read most of it here, but I'm going to end with listening to this video that they have of the pension cuts protested at Hawaii State House. Listen to this.
It's more than a business.
Skip that ad there.
Well, the cuts that they're talking about doing are going to affect my pocketbook and everybody else's pocketbook that is retired. We all base our budgets on a certain amount of dollars that we get, and we're counting on our COLA to enhance that budget. And with the budgets, with the COLA being cut, now we can no longer count on that, and therefore that's going to affect our spending power in our daily lives.
I end with this, and I've almost ended, but the video speaks itself. It's still that we're delusional about the real situation and problem itself. They've been promised this ridiculous, and I say not to be mean here, this ridiculous idea that in a finite world, someone's going to be able to take care of you for it hasn't been proven its test of time. This article, the end of this article sums up everything. Meanwhile, by protesting earlier this week, Ohio employees demonstrate that they're still in the shock and denial phase of dealing with the news that their pensions were always just a clever little fairy tale told to earn their votes. Luckily, anger and bargaining is only 2 steps away in the 7-step process. I had to read that even after watching the video, because it really puts the state that we're in as a country, and particularly in the United States, that the delusion is so vast. And that's not to say they're being mean here. It's just that as adults, we have to put errors in our plans, and not realizing what's going on around the rest of the world and protesting these different things. It just shows some level of foolishness. So I know I talk extensively about pensions. I'm going to keep talking about it till this really becomes mainstream news. But this is definitely part of the information age, and you really need to be mindful of it, because it's your family members, it's everyone around you, even if they're not saying so or not. So in my next video, I'm out.